Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In this episode, the title is called The Tigray Missile Attack. And what we're going to look at is in late 2020, once final preparations were underway and operations were about to start against the Tigray region, the Tigray Defense Forces took preemptive action and were able to seize control of several military installations inside of the Tigray region, inside of its own region, i.e., the Northern Command. But they were also able to seize control of a ballistic missile unit, a short-range ballistic missile unit containing short-range Chinese-made M20 ballistic missiles. And on the main screen, the thumbnail, you can clearly see the precision of the attack that was launched by Tigrayan Defense Forces against the Bahir Dar Air Base. And if you look, you can clearly see where this missile had impacted. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and we're going to look at some updated footage of the area where the missile attack took place. And you can clearly see that the tarmac has been repaired. So this area right here, you can clearly see at one point there was a crater. It was scorched, and there could possibly be still cratering in that precise location. But very interesting of the accuracy and the level of accuracy that we have saw from these Chinese-made ballistic missiles and their use by the Tigrayan Defense Forces against targets inside of both the Amhara region, Ethiopia, and even Eritrea itself were targeted by these M20 ballistic missiles. Now, with that being said, we are starting to gain intelligence and hear chatter that there could be the possibility of more attacks as the war continues to progress. Does the Tigrayan Defense Forces still possess M20 short-range ballistic missiles that could be used, or could they be repurposing other missiles for possible use the same way the M20 was used? So we'll have to continue to see what happens and what exactly occurs, and kind of monitor the situation in terms of the sort of assets that are currently being deployed, and what that would look like in the future, or even within the next few days. But again, I thought it was a very interesting tidbit to look at. Of course, we heard about the launch of the ballistic missiles by the Tigrayan Defense Forces towards targets inside of Ethiopia as final operations were underway, final preparations were underway for the invasion of the Tigray region. But this really gives you evidence of the accuracy of these systems. And quite honestly, I was even surprised by the accuracy of these systems. That is a very precise impact. It was targeted along the main flight line of where aircraft are normally positioned, and you can clearly see that at least one of these missiles that was fired impacted very precisely in the vicinity of its intended target. So again, these systems are aided by GPS, global positioning satellites, either United States GPS systems or the newer Chinese GPS system that is utilized. But again, just to show you the precise nature of these ballistic missiles that are being used, and we've also seen these ballistic missiles being used obviously by other nations such as Yemen. They have been used very effectively against targets inside of Saudi Arabia and even Yemeni forces that are opposed to the Houthis in Yemen. And then obviously we also saw the Iranians use ballistic missiles with fairly reasonable accuracy against a very large American Air Force base in Iraq. And while it did not cause any known fatalities, again, it was able to hit the airfield in a reasonably precise manner. If you consider these weapon systems before, where if they were fired towards this target, in all likelihood, it would hit the city to the east, or the circular arrow probability was 500 to 1,000 yards from its intended target. So the ability to actually hit the target is highly speculative in terms of these systems. But clearly, in this case, you can see that the Tigrayans were able to effectively gain control of this system and then launch this missile attack in a fairly effective manner. We don't know if any assets were destroyed on the ground in terms of Ethiopian combat aircraft. But we have also heard chatter that the Ethiopian military was incredibly surprised by the precision of this attack by hitting Bahir Dar Air Base. And I can see why. In other news, the fighting obviously still continues in the region. We continue to hear reports of fighting that is occurring to the east of Mekelle. Specifically, it would appear that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have seized control or are in the process of seizing control of Abala. And that the root cause of that is because of the recent military activity that came out of the vicinity of Abala, in which a battalion, regimental size group of Afar militia, Ethiopian military, we're not sure what it was as of yet, actually attempted to enter the Tigray region. They were able to penetrate a few miles before they were interdicted by the forces of the Tigrayan Defense Forces and were destroyed in zone. And now an operation appears to be underway to possibly seize the city of Abala and possibly other areas as well as we speak. But we will continue to monitor that situation and see what happens. Other news, there continues to be fighting west of Gashina. There continues to be fairly aggressive activity by the Tigrayan Defense Forces along the B-22 highway west of Gashina. And then we're also hearing of possible buildup of activity towards the east of Kobo in the Afar region, of possible more either Afar militias, Ethiopian forces, or Amhara militia units operating in the area. In terms of the political front, it would appear that the regime of Abiy Ahmed continues the process of silencing voices of dissent. In this case, it is removing 7 UN officials from the country who were conducting activity that the government does not agree with, and those 7 personnel have been kicked out of the country, which will continue to close the loop in terms of information that is obtained inside of the country as more and more unbiased voices are removed. You will only hear one united voice coming from the regime based in Addis Ababa. And we're even seeing some activity in terms of the federal government actually intruding now on Amhara regional politics in terms of that region's president now being possibly removed from office. I'm not sure how you go about the process of firing an elected official in Ethiopia, but it would appear that Abiy Ahmed can absolutely fire elected officials inside of Ethiopia and the Amhara region. But again, we will continue to monitor the situation and report to everybody. Have a great day, everyone.